Hello, hello, hello. I don't know if my neighbors are making some noise. They're sawing something. I don't know if it would disturb this recording. I pray not. Yes, welcome to lesson 4 entitled Lead the Project Team. So this lesson is all about leadership. It's about you demonstrating your leadership skills. Because as the lesson 3 showed us, we have talked about planning. Now, once the planning has been completed or underway, depending on the approach, then the execution of tasks has started and it's going on. You need to now exercise leadership. You need to show that you are a good leader, leading and supporting the team so that the team can execute, can do the work, can implement their tasks perfectly so that we can have quality deliverables. This word called leadership, oh boy, it has been used and used and used in so many ways. It has also been misused and abused in so many ways. Sometimes we think that, oh, the people that are at the top of our organizations, our businesses, are leaders. Sometimes we think that, well, the people that are our presidents and prime ministers, yes, we say they're our leaders. This word or this thing called leadership has been used and abused so many times, so many ways. So we are going to use this opportunity to understand fully what leadership is and how we can lead the team to the successful implementation and successful completion of our project. So we're going to have quite an interesting discussion and quite some interesting topics. The first topic is to craft your leadership skills. You need to craft your leadership style to suit the situation and the project context. The second is to create a collaborative project team environment. The third is to empower the team. The fourth is to support team members' performance. The fifth is to communicate and collaborate with stakeholders. And remember, even in planning, we've been collaborating with stakeholders. And in the starting of the project, we identified and started engaging with our stakeholders. So this is like a continuation. And then the seventh is about training, coaching, and mentoring. What is training, coaching, and mentoring? That's the sixth, sorry. And then the seventh is to manage conflicts. What are our learning objectives? We'll discuss the guidelines for developing leadership competencies and skills. We'll look at various leadership styles and the components for leading a successful team, either when the team is in person or that's co-located in the same physical location or virtual. Next, we'll describe various project artifacts and the strategies for their use. We'll also identify the characteristics and core functions of empowered teams. Next, we'll explain strategies and forms of communication for collaborating in a project team environment or stakeholders. We'll know what training, coaching, and mentoring is and their value for the team. We'll explain the importance of conflict management. We'll look at where conflicts come from, the symptoms of conflict, the different levels of conflict and how to manage or resolve conflicts. First off, the first topic is to craft your leadership skills. I'll start off with some interesting stats. If you look to your left of your screen, it says 50% of employees have cited bad leadership and bad management as the main reason for them leaving a job. I like this one. Startling statistics. 79% of people leave their job because they don't feel appreciated. Think about it. 79% of people leave their job because they don't feel appreciated. So whenever I see somebody leave their job, the first is to ask them, how did they treat you? Did they appreciate you? Did you feel like you were valued? You were appreciated? Next, 11% of companies believe that they have strong leadership. Only 11. 10% of all business leaders have a natural talent for leading. And this came from a survey of business leaders. 80% of companies struggle with finding employees with relevant leadership skills. I know this because I used to be in top management in companies. We're always looking for leaders at all levels of the organization. 80% of companies struggle. And this is the key reason why a lot of companies crumble. A lot of companies are not successful because the people working there are not leaders. We're not talking about the top management. We're talking about the employees. Look at the statistics. 80% of companies struggle with finding employees, colleagues, workers, people in the company with relevant leadership skills. So whether you're talking about sweepers, cleaners, people who are there just as support staff, team leaders, project managers, technicians, engineers, accountants, lawyers, middle managers, top managers, there is a struggle to find these people. An astounding, shocking 40% of leaders will fail in their first 18 months of their job. These are really shocking statistics. Now, on the right, another shocking set of statistics is about how workers view their bosses or their superiors. 76% describe their bosses as toxic, and they would trust strangers more over their superiors. 75% say that their immediate boss is the most stressful part of their jobs. About the same number, 76, 75, is about the same. So, if you go to a company, ask the employees, how is your boss? They'll tell you. Usually, bad person, treats people badly, stresses me out. Is that your situation? You always here listening to me, following this video. Is that the situation? Why did you leave your previous job? How is your present boss treating you? In crafting your leadership skills, you need to understand what we call interpersonal or what we call power skills. Interpersonal. What does it mean when we say interpersonal? Well, interpersonal simply means something that has to do with persons relating to one another, communicating and engaging between people, working with people, talking with people. So what are some of these skills that has to do with relating, communicating, engaging, working with people? Collaboration, leadership, communication, empathy, and so on. You see, A project is a system with a finite duration, a system made up of people. So when you have people, you need to communicate with them. And you need to be doing that knowing that there are different types of people. You need to be able to influence them to walk in the direction of the project. So you need to have leadership skills and competencies. This word skill means being able to do something well. Competency means being skilled and having the right attitude. I will always go for competent people, not necessarily skilled people. Because a competent person has both the skills and the right attitude. Now, what are some of these leadership skills and competencies? Communication. As we'll see later on in this training, the real essence of leadership is communication. I am making this video at a time when the US have just got a new president, Donald Trump. And one of the things I like about Trump is he's accessible. He's accessible. He's having press conferences all the time. Journalists are asking him questions. When you are in a company where you're the CEO or your departmental manager or your supervisor is always listening to you, having discussions with you, interacting with the employees, usually have a good vibe. They are smiling. They are open. They are accessible. If you are in a country where the president is always meeting people in the villages, in the rural communities, in the towns, in the cities, going to where government projects are, discussing with people, he's not surrounded by bodyguards and all these protocol systems, but it's accessible. He goes jogging. I remember watching a video of the Prime Minister of, I think it's Bahamas, or and also the Prime Minister of Namibia. Man goes jogging in the morning, with very few people around him. He walks the streets. If you live in a country where maybe the president just makes a speech, you hardly see him, he's not accessible, he doesn't communicate, he doesn't give press conferences to journalists, because the media is there to project to us what the president or the prime minister or the CEO is saying. And they'll ask questions. And when the president is meeting ordinary people, having conferences and meetings, sitting with them and discussing with them, that's a leader. I remember one of my former schoolmates who worked in Rwanda was telling me how sometimes they'll have a meeting, a corporate meeting, and the president, Paul Kagame, will show up, talk to them, have discussions with them. It's accessible. So communication is not just talking, but also listening, being accessible, being able to communicate, to speak your mind, and also allow people to speak your mind, engaging with people. Conflict management we'll see later on in this training, in this lesson. But it suffices to say that wherever people are gathered, I have a saying that where 2 or 3 are gathered, there's bound to be conflict. Whether in a workplace, in a project, we have so many people interacting. There are going to be divergence of views. There are going to be different opinions. There are going to be stressful situations. There are going to be situations where people disagree. That is nothing bad. Actually, we should encourage divergence of views, but we should be able to be professional enough, open enough to come together, even after we disagree, to resolve our disagreements. And we shouldn't get to a point where people want to harm one another and people are attacking one another's personalities or persons. That shouldn't be allowed. The third is critical thinking. A leader should be a critical thinker. What is critical thinking? Critical thinking is being able to analyze things, evaluate information, to come up with well-reasoned judgments, to make informed decisions after we've done the analyzing and the evaluation of information. A critical thinker is somebody who questions things, who listens to other people's views, who looks at various perspectives. So critical thinking involves analysis, breaking down of information, evaluation, assessing the credibility and validation of information, drawing conclusions, interpreting and trying to understand the meaning and significance of information, being able to explain things, and also recognizing that you have your own biases and assumptions to be able to self-regulate things. So critical thinking is something we do every day in business, in families, and so on. Next is cultural awareness. Now, before we even talk of cultural awareness, we need to talk of culture. Culture. You see, the workplace today is a workplace full of people from different backgrounds. It's a plural workplace. At no point in human history have people been able to move around the globe so easily, being able to work in different parts of the world so easily. So we all have different values. We all come from communities with different values. So culture has to do with our value systems, our beliefs, our understanding, and our perceptions. Now, cultural awareness is the ability of you, the project manager, or you, the leader, because here the project manager is in this lesson is wearing the hat of a leader. You, the leader, being able to recognize and appreciate that there are different and divergent and diverse cultures in the workplace in your project. You have Africans. Africans are 1.3 billion people today. There could have been more if not of slavery and the ravages of colonization. But we are 1.3 billion people in about 54 countries. And in some African countries, they have different languages, different cultures, cultural groups, sometimes in their hundreds. You go to Asia, South America, Europe, the Americas, and all these places, the Middle East, you have different cultures. People eat food differently. They speak different languages. They dress differently. And people even have different religions. So cultural awareness is about recognizing these differences in cultures, appreciating them, and then being able to put aside our own biases and prejudices and make sure that despite all our cultural differences, we can all work together as professionals for the benefit of the project. Next is decision making, and we'll see, and we've even seen different aspects of that. The best decisions are not made solo. The best decisions are made in a group, in consensus, through collaboration. I remember reading Nelson Mandela's biography. I think it was Long Walk to Freedom or something like that. And he talked about his grandfather, who was a local chief, and how, as a little boy, he would sit and watch his grandfather preside the royal court. And what his grandfather used to do is listen to his notables. When there was a problem in the village, his notables would, and officials in the royal court he would allow them speak. He would listen to them, and then he would draw conclusion based on what they have spoken and what he thinks. Sometimes we have to make a decision solo in emergency situations. When everything else has failed, you have to be an autocrat. Sometimes we make decisions through voting. But again, the best decisions are through collaboration, through coming together as a group. Emotional intelligence, or what we call emotional quotient, these days you can't escape this aspect when we talk about leadership or management training. The ability to understand our emotions and being able to regulate it, and also being able to understand people's emotions. Now, having an ethical approach. A leader, a competent leader, is an honest person, a responsible person, somebody who can make a mistake and then put your hand up and apologize and say, I made a mistake. You are not too big for the job. You are not too big for the people around you. A leader who is ethical is honest to the core. His yes is yes, his no is no. He would display honesty and also make sure that people around him are also honest. Expert judgment. Expert judgment is a skill which leaders use to extract vital, specialist, expert information and opinion from experts. Facilitation. Facilitation is a skill where when we have people meeting, sometimes in a meeting or in a brainstorming session, we need somebody to ensure that the whole thing is properly organized. People are participating. There is no one person hijacking the meeting, and people are actually feeling good taking part in that meeting. That is facilitation. Then meeting management. Meeting management simply means the logistics around meeting. How we plan, organize, facilitate, and follow up meetings to ensure that they are productive, to ensure that they achieve their objectives. Negotiation. In a project, you have to negotiate for resources, meaning you have to negotiate for people, you have to negotiate for software, you have to negotiate for equipment, for machinery, for supplies, for materials, for facilities, for all these resources. Sometimes you have to do negotiations internally within your organization, sometimes with sellers through contracts. Networking. Networking is the art of creating links with people, social links. So if you are a professional, for example, you need to be a member of LinkedIn, where professionals are linked into this social network. You also need to create links within your organization. Have good professional relationships with people in the finance department, with people in the IT department, with people in the communications department, with people in the human resources department, with people in the quality department, in health and safety, with people in procurement, because you need them. So, networking is about building and maintaining good professional relationships with internal and external stakeholders. And when I say external stakeholders, it could be government agencies, It could be contractors, architects, and so on. And then team building is about developing the competencies of the team, but also creating the right environment for the team to work in. And sometimes when the team's morale is low, we create some fun games to pep up or increase the morale. Now, on some of these leadership skills and competencies, we are going to speak a lot more later on. So let's start off by talking about the PMI Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct. Every candidate for the PMP exam and other PMI exams must adhere to the PMI Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct. This is a document which is freely available online, and I would advise you to read up on it. You can find it in some of the PMI standards. I can't really say which ones do have it, but really the purpose of the code is to establish a standard of ethical conduct for project professionals, so that it instills confidence in your stakeholders, in your customer, about your work, about the project management professional, so that it helps individuals become better project practitioners. The vision is to ensure that we are committed to doing what is right and honorable, and we also set high standards for ourselves, which we aspire to meet. Now, the PMI Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct has 4 key values: responsibility, respect, fairness, and honesty. Now, what is responsibility? It means that project managers are expected to maintain confidentiality, to comply with the laws and regulations of the land or of the country that they are working in, of the industry that they are practicing in. They should act consistently with the policies and procedures of the organization that they are in, and they should take ownership of their decision, even the ones that they fail to make. So it's about keeping your promises. It's about protecting proprietary or confidential information. Now, on the second value of respect, respect involves treating others with dignity, promoting diversity, and valuing mutual sharing of ideas. Even when we are not agreeing with people, we should conduct ourselves professionally. When people feel respected and valued, when people are treated with dignity, they enjoy those aspects. They feel valued. Remember, 79% of people leave their jobs because they don't feel appreciated. It's usually because they're not respected. The third value is that of fairness. Project managers must make decisions impartially and objectively, demonstrating openness and transparency and avoiding situations of discrimination or abuse. So don't go start recruiting your family members into the job. We see even in some, especially in Africa, in some governments, the president will employ their wife, employ their cousin, employ their children, put them in administrative positions, in high positions. Somebody will have their company, they'll employ family members, tribes members. All that is nepotism, favoritism. It is not good. It is not good. Lastly, about honesty, project managers are expected to be truthful. You can't be truthful if you don't know the truth. So first seek the truth and then apply the truth in your work, starting from your PMP exam application. Make sure that the information that you're providing to the PMI is correct, is accurate, is truthful. Make sure you provide accurate information to your stakeholders. Communicate to them what is happening in your project in a truthful manner. Don't hide information. Make commitments in good faith. And most importantly, strive to create an environment where your colleagues, your workers, those in your project, stakeholders, feel emboldened, feel empowered, feel free, safe to speak up and to tell the truth. So, in summary, don't steal, don't cheat, and don't lie. Now, you might not have read the PMI Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct in its entirety, but I would strongly advise you to do so. So what we are going to do now, despite that, what we're going to do is put you to a test of 4 questions. So the first question is on the board. Read it carefully and tell me what you would do. So I'll give you more time than is needed. So let me review the right answer. This is clearly a conflict of interest, no doubt about that. It's your brother. Okay. So inform the head of the panel or the appropriate authority that this is a conflict of interest. This is your brother. And then remove yourself from the panel. Because at the end of the day, since your brother is good, the other members will be able to objectively, hopefully select him. When somebody is good, somebody is good. You don't need to influence that because you don't want to give an impression that the person got a job because of you. So try and avoid such situations. Always stay in the good side of history. Next question. This is a typical multiple choice question. The first question is a PMP question, but I remove the options. You'll never find a question like the first question where, let me go back, where the options are not there. Okay, you're not going to write essays in the exam. Okay, so this is a typical multiple choice question. Most of the exam will be multiple choice, where you are given a question with 4 options. And then, like I said, read question very well. Answer from the, put on your PMI hat, not what you are used to doing or what your environment tells you. Then eliminate obviously incorrect answers to narrow down your choices. Then choose the best one, not the good one, the best out of the 4. Okay. Okay, let's see the damage. C. Don't lie. B is lying. Don't follow your colleague's advice. A and D are not necessary. A is about a binding arbitration. Arbitration is when you get a third party to resolve a problem between the buyer and the seller. There's no problem between you and the contractor. And you don't need to, put a hard deadline. Negotiations sometimes take time, okay? Right, next question. This is a tricky question, I know. But the right answer is C. Just politely refuse the ticket. Because there's no company policy, so you don't need to, report that to your organization. Last question, 4. Okay, let's see the damage here. Your colleague just wants to know about the questions exam. Just tell them that you cannot disclose them. Don't need to report it. It's not a gross violation. Okay. It's the PMP questions are proprietary information from the PMI. We talked about interpersonal and team skills. Interpersonal, something that has to do with how people engage. This includes active listening, assessing the communication styles that suit our various stakeholders, emotional intelligence, influencing, motivation, nominal group technique, political awareness, and transparency. What is active listening? Active listening is the art of making sure that whatever the speaker is saying, we are fully understanding what they're saying. How do we do that? By asking questions, by probing, by restating things, by nodding our head, by paying close attention, providing feedback, by watching the speaker's body language, how their head is moving, their eyes are moving, their shoulders are moving, and so on. Because sometimes up to 45% of information is captured or is hidden in body language. So it's not only what the mouth is saying, because sometimes people can lie. And that's why, in some places they use the police use lie detectors strapped on your body. They don't strap it to your mouth, they strap it to your body, so that to sense what your body is saying. Political awareness. Political awareness is not about party politics, Democrats, Republicans. No, that is not it. When it comes to political awareness, we're talking about understanding the politics of the workplace. Understanding the politics of the workplace, what is called workplace politics. That is that unseen force or energy that involves the way people behave and interact in the workplace. Power struggles, authority, ego, ambition, rumors, talking behind people's backs, withholding information, talking about company issues. So how do you deal with issues in the workplace? Pay attention to emotions, responding to conflicts, giving yourself time to prepare, reflecting, inquiring. Be aware of your own prejudices and biases, your own ego. Another key skill when it comes to dealing with persons and the team is transparency. Transparency. One of the key aspects of project management is being honest and open with people. If you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to hide. So why are you afraid? Why are you hiding things? Transparent. What people see is what people get. When they see you, they see light. When they see you, they see someone that's open. Transparency. Very powerful. We have a lot of people in marriages that are not transparent. The husband doesn't know the wife's salary. The wife doesn't know the husband's salary. The husband doesn't know the wife's phone passcode or PIN. Neither does the wife. They don't know each other's access or password to their email, logins and all that. You say that you are in a relation, you are in a marriage, and you are hiding sensitive information from one another. Well, you can call it somebody else, but that's something else, but that's not a marriage. Need to be transparent. Now let's talk about various leadership styles. Because don't forget, this topic is about crafting your leadership skills. So you need to understand various leadership styles and work to adopt the best one so that you can use them to suit the particular situation. Now, this is about tailoring. You need to craft or tailor your leadership style. It comes from your experience. It comes from the organizational structure in which you are. It comes from the team that you are leading. Is it a remote team, hybrid, or a totally co-located team? Let's talk about various leadership styles. There is what we call the direct or autocratic leadership style, where you are the one making all the decisions. Everything has to pass from you. Yes, you can get things done quickly. Especially in an emergency, this works very well. But boy, it stifles creativity. It makes people to have a bad impression about you. Then you have the democratic or participative leadership style, where leaders involve other team members in decision making. So it sort of ensures there's collaboration and inclusivity. Yeah, you can make sure that there's divergence of views, but sometimes the downside is there's slow decision making. Okay. Then there is the laissez-faire type of leadership, where the leader makes few decisions. Instead, he allows people the team members to get on with things. Laissez-faire. It's a French word, just means just allow things to move on. Then you have the servant leadership, probably the best type of leadership, where you are serving. You are serving. The leader is there to serve others. Then there's a consensus or collaborative, where the team is left in autonomous mode. There's the transformational leader, where the leader is there to ensure that followers be transformed to be like them. Transformational leadership emphasizes change and transformation. So you inspire your followers to achieve more, to do more than they can even imagine or think. Transformational leadership style. There's also the transactional leadership style. You scratch my back and I scratch yours. Here there is structure. Here there's a reward-based system. If you do this, I'll reward you. If you don't do that, I'll punish you. It's a give and take leadership style. There is another leadership style called the affiliative leadership style, where the leader creates social and even emotional bonds with their followers or with others. And this can be good when the team gets into an emotional or stressful situation, because you've already created these social emotional bonds. You can get the team out of such stressful or negative or traumatic situations. There are very many leadership styles. I'm not going to exhaust those. There's the situational leadership style, where you model or tailor your leadership style to fit a situation. For example, there could be a fire in a building. Some people will be screaming and running away, whilst a situational leader will jump into the fire and start directing people to do this. You run here, get the water, get this, get people out, and they'll take charge of the situation. Now, there are some leadership styles that are good. There are some leadership styles that are bad. Focus on the bad and develop these, especially servant leadership. Okay. This slide is very powerful. I love this aspect of the discussion. The difference between leadership and management. The difference between leadership and management. Now, if I were you, I will create a 2-column table. On the one side, management, on the other side, leadership. Let's trash it. Because sometimes people feel that leadership has to do with position. Position in a country, position in an organization, position in a company. No, that's more management. So create a 2-column table. On one side, management, on one side, leadership. Under management, write this: power of position. Power of position. And under leadership, write power of relationships. Let me explain. Managers use the power and authority that comes from the position that they occupy in an organization. Take the CEO of a company, the highest placed person. What he says, he or she says, goes. His signature is powerful. The documents that come from him, his emails, are powerful. What he says goes. If he signs for a certain amount of money, it goes. If he says you're fired, you're fired. If he recruits people, they are recruited. The power and authority that comes from that position is what he used to manage his day-to-day affairs, day-to-day activities. There could be other managers below him they will not have such power and authority as the CEO. On the other side, leadership is about using the power that comes from relationships, the networks, the way you relate to people, the way you interact with people, the way people see you can be very powerful. I'll give you paint a picture. Imagine you are a big CEO in a big company. Part of the perquisites of your job is that you are given a big Jeep, black Jeep with a driver to drive you around. You are the boss, the big guy. Sit at the back, reading newspapers. When you are in your business premises, people greet you. Just look at them as if they are crap. You don't talk to people. You have a disdain for people. Even your local community, people know you as a nasty person. But you are a top dog in your organization. When you go to social functions, people give way to you. You can be a good manager, you can be a top manager, but you are a lousy leader. You are not a leader. You are a bad leader because you don't relate well with people. Your driver who drives you around could be somebody, when he goes home, the children are happy to see him. The children speak to him. In his village community, he has good relationships. People come for advice to that driver. Even in the company, other fellow drivers and other people in that company, they go to him. When you greet him, he smiles and greets you back. He's a good leader, a better leader than the CEO, even though he does not occupy a good or a top position in the company. That is why I showed statistics that show that 80% of businesses, companies struggle to find employees that have leadership skills. I've been in top management, so I know. I've recruited people even at my level. I've sat down in many forums where we are trying to promote people. We call them promotion rounds, where we're promoting supervisors, team leaders, and other people at different levels of management. Some people are good at their jobs, but somebody will say, but that person doesn't smile. He doesn't speak to people very well. We are struggling to find leadership skills. We are struggling to find people who know how to relate well with other people. Some people are very nasty in the workplace. You know them. You see them every day. They are not good leaders. Second point, management focuses on organizing, planning, and controlling resources and processes. Management is about organizing, planning, controlling resources and processes, whilst leaders focus on inspiring, motivating, and influencing people. Next point, management is about short-term goals. Management is about achieving short-term goals. Leadership is about achieving common vision and goals. Leadership is about achieving common vision and goals. Next point, management is about short-term planning. Leadership is about long-term, in brackets, strategic planning. Next point, managers are concerned with coordination, delegation, and making sure that people do their tasks well according to company processes, policies, and standards. while leaders inspire and motivate their teams, ensuring there's a sense of purpose, collaboration, and engagement. Next point. Management is about maintaining the status quo. Managers will not rock the boat. They'll follow set processes and policies and standards. But leaders challenge the status quo. If a leader shows up somewhere and they see that something is not beneficial, even though they have been doing it for 25 years, you propose a new way of doing things. Okay? So management is a profession, a type of job. Management is a profession. Leadership is a mindset. It's a way of life. Okay. Last point. Management is about doing things right. Management is about doing things right. Leadership is about doing the right things. Leaders will not do things that are wrong. Even if it means they get kicked out of a job. They will not lie. They will not steal. They will not bend the books. Even if they have to lose their job. Actually, they'll be happy to lose their jobs. So adapt leadership styles to the situation, to the context, and to the type of stakeholders. Because sometimes you might find yourself where you need to be tough on people. When you are in the military, in emergency, like paramedics, safety situations, you have to be tough on people. Be aware of individual and team aims and working relations. Be aware of the environment. Use emotional intelligence. That's all about leadership. The best type of leadership, or the best leadership style, is servant leadership. If you are a Christian, you probably are aware of John chapter 13. John chapter 13, where Jesus washes the feet of his disciples. Now, talk about a servant leader. The creator of the universe loved us so much that he came in the form of man to debase himself to the point where he could die for us. That is a servant. He did not consider the greatness of his majesty, but lowered himself. Talk of humility. So what is servant leadership? Servant leadership is a leadership philosophy that is counter to the traditional leadership style of do as I say or command and control. Here, the leader prioritizes serving the needs of others, fostering growth, creating a supportive environment, putting others first, being humble and selfless, empowering others, focusing on the growth and development of others, building and inspiring trust and collaboration, being very honest and ethical, listening, being somebody who is about empathy, creating a culture where there's no blame, refraining from micromanaging, committing to the satisfaction and growth of the customers, removing any obstacles or impediments. This concept of servant leadership has always been, like I said, Jesus epitomized this over 2,000 years ago and continuously and ever since the world began. But Robert Greenleaf in 1970 wrote an essay called A Servant as a Leader. And he argued that the most effective leaders are those who are first and foremost servants, focusing on the needs of others principally. So, I would strongly advise you to do your research on servant leadership because it turns the traditional leadership model on its head. The world needs servant leaders. And my question to you is, what are some of the servant leaders, dead or alive, that you can pinpoint? Maybe in your country, maybe in some other countries. Because some people do have some examples that they normally put out. So which are some of them? Sometimes people say Abraham Lincoln, Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa of Calcutta, so who is a servant leader to you? There used to be a former Prime Minister of Singapore, the one who actually transformed Singapore. Lee Kuan Yew, that's the fellow, considered as a servant leader. Does your country have a servant leader? Now let's talk about the growth mindset, which was a conception by Carol Dweck. It's the belief that a person's capacities and talents can be improved over time. It's a belief that there's always room for improvement. So you are guided by your past experiences, but they don't dictate your actions. You are continuously seeking ways to improve yourself. But you are avoiding complacency and blind acceptance. Growth mindset. That is the mindset of every leader. You should adopt that mindset because it always means that you can do better, you can persevere, you can learn more, even from people around you and below you. One aspect of interpersonal and team skills is team building. Team building is about creating an environment where the team is working towards successful completion of the project. Team building is about actions to make sure the team works together effectively. Team building is about taking actions to create a good team vibe, a good environment, a good dynamic. Sometimes the team might be tired, might be burned out, stressed. And you need to be creative to inject some fun activities. Take them to the beach. Do some of the childlike or the childish or activities that children used to do. Why is it that it's only children that seem to have a lot of fun? Why can't we adults have a bit of fun? Sometimes team building activities are initiated by the organization. Sometimes they are informal, sometimes they are formal. But you as a project manager, if you sense that a team has been working too hard or they are stressed and tired, do some fun activities. Let them jump around on a rope. Go to the beach. Do some fun games. Let people wear your shorts and t-shirt and jeans and have some fun. It keeps the team going, keeps the dynamic going. Do you do that in your organization? Also, use the Talkman ladder as a tool to sense where the team, which stage the team is at, based on the characteristics of the team members. And then you will know what to do to move them to the next level, especially if they are in the storming and forming stages. You want to move them to the next stages as soon as possible. The best stage is the performing stage, where the team is working well together. So note this tool, use this tool. I always say that note for your exam, know the 5 levels in the right order: forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. The second thing is know the characteristics of the team members. And then thirdly, know what the project manager or the project leader needs to do. Powerful tool. These days, virtual working is a norm. 80 to 90% of my work I do virtually. And this has been going on for the past 4 years or so. And I love it. Gives me flexibility. 90% of people work remotely, and this is especially after COVID. Enjoy it. You don't want to go back. So, what is your situation? Do you work some days from home, or fully from home, or fully from a physical office? What are some of the benefits of virtual working? Can you think of some of the benefits of virtual working? I can think of a few. Flexibility. Work-life balance. Staying away from all those boring meetings. Avoiding traffic and all the costs. Even for the employers, cost savings. Because sometimes rentals can be very high. The ability to run your business 24/7, even for it to work 24/7. Increased productivity, better health and well-being of the employees. It allows you to access a wider range of opportunities. What are some of the best practices when it comes to virtual working? Best practices. Make sure that everyone understands the purpose and the objectives of the project. Establish clear communication channels. Set structured schedules. Do time boxing. Let there be a culture of trust and accountability. Make sure everybody knows their roles and their responsibility. Use a RACI chart. Use communication tools, knowledge sharing tools effectively. Touch base with your remote workers from time to time. Be mindful of time zone differences. If people have to have meetings, let's have certain decorum. Let's have certain rules, and make sure that we all use our cameras. Use, for running virtual teams, use good, smart project calendars. So some of the ways we make sure that our virtual team members are fully engaged is to increase transparency, making effective use of video conferencing, watching people's body languages, because sometimes they hide some issues that they might be facing at home. Ensure that the work is visible for everybody. Use chat, phones, do one-to-ones when you feel there's an issue. Expect a lot of questions on virtual working. Now let's talk about the communication technologies that are out there. Task boards, video conferencing, messaging and chat, smart calendars, document repositories, knowledge repositories, you know, and so on. So make good use of these technologies. There are even social media. There are just so many out there, and some organizations do have policies that specify that we need to use certain apps, certain tools, certain Wi-Fi providers, and so on. So make good use of these. Also, good project management software, cloud computing or cloud storage systems. Today, project management softwares like Trello, Monday.com, ClickUp, Jira, they're very good. Asana, they're very good. And VPNs, time tracking, collaboration platforms like Miro and Gather can help teams brainstorm, share ideas, and so on. Now, sometimes some virtual team members might have certain needs and expectations, to a point where they might want to stay away from the home. Maybe there's a situation at home which is not conducive. Find out if the organization can provide them a space somewhere not far from home where they can work 9 to 5. So address needs of team members to facilitate and ensure collaboration, to ensure that people are accountable. People are not just late in submitting their jobs, because sometimes when we are working virtually, we relax a bit. So things that have to do cohesion, clear purpose, shared goals, accountability, and even some personal issues can be looked at within the remit of the organization. Now, what are some of the challenges of virtual working? Well, feeling lonely. We were not made to be working all alone. We're made to work in a group as human beings. Also, sometimes in some parts of the world, electricity and internet challenges. Lack of face-to-face interaction can lead to misunderstanding, loneliness. Having time zone differences can be challenging. Technology issues, cultural differences, and so on. Distractions. Sometimes the home is not really good. Our neighbors are making noise. Our family members as well, our partners. So sometimes there are challenges at home. Right, let's look at some questions. By the way, expect questions on virtual work in the exam. So you have a multiple response question based on our SLC case study. Okay, let's review the damage. So, in which two ways can this geographically dispersed virtual team be engaged and motivated to innovate, to be productive and stay within schedule? Hold daily stand-ups, A, and allow the team to self-organize. Okay. Next question on virtual working. This is a multiple choice, so it's just one. If not, you will say so. You say choose two. So you typical multiple choice. Choose the best. Okay, let's see the damage. If you need more time, you can pause the video. Conduct retrospectives. How can a virtual team ensure that their processes are optimized and can deliver the final prototype on time? Conduct retrospectives. It's a quality management process. People bring more ideas and you'll be able to deliver your final prototype on time. Okay. Last question on virtual working. Again, multiple choice. Okay, let's see the damage. Figure out what resources, budget, and time are needed. I mean, this is a simple question because the SMEs want to pilot a camera drone to capture real-time photos of a building and send it to people who are in different geographical locations. And we have only 1 month remaining. How should the team respond? Schedule a meeting with the product owner to discuss feasibility and add items to the back list. Ask Helen to proceed to process the request. Ask the SMEs whether this is really needed, it's really out. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this first topic, crafting your leadership skills of lesson 4. Hope to see you in the next video. Bye for now.